In the late summer of 1939, German fighter pilots relaxed in the sunshine before the onset of a war that would see them, within 2 years, contesting the skies against enemies over the Arctic Ocean to the deserts of North Africa and from the Bay of Biscay to the banks of the River Volga. Within 5 years, the Reich will have shrunk to the borders of the homeland, and the fighter arm of the Luftwaffe will have been driven to extinction in the very skies above Germany itself. It was on the 1st of March 1935, some 2 years after Hitler's rise to power, that he officially announced the existence of the new Luftwaffe, thus repudiating the Versailles Treaty, believing that peace settlement after the Great War had forbidden Germany possession of an air arm. In reality, the new Luftwaffe dated from January 1933, with great care being taken to disguise the growth of the new German Air Force. The first mount of the new Luftwaffe fighter arm was the Heinkel HE-51. An initial production model entered service in 1935, equipped the Richthofen and Horst vessel Jagdgeschwader. The improved HE-51B appeared in 1936, and is seen here in this film dating from the same year. Although the type figured prominently in early propaganda films, its service life was short. The existence of the Arado 68 sealed the fate of the Heinkel fighter when, in 1936, Ernst Udet, a newly installed inspector of fighters and dive bombers, tested both aircraft and adjudged the Arado to be the superior type. Destined to be the last biplane fighter to serve with the Luftwaffe, the Arado 68 is seen here along with the HE-51, engaging in mock attacks on a Dornier Do-23, in the early times serving in the bomber squadrons. This particular AR-68F variant employed a BMW engine which conferred only a marginally improved performance over the HE-51. It was rapidly superseded on the production lines by the Umo-powered AR-68F variant, which equipped most of the Jagdgruppen until the advent of the Bf-109 in 1938. It is a later Umo-powered Arado AR-68E which is seen here, shooting out balloons set out by Luftwaffe ground crew for strafing practice. A distinctive feature of Luftwaffe fighters until about 1938 was their overall light grey colour scheme. The fortunes of the Jager band was to be anchored to the firm of Messerschmitt when, in November 1935, its Bf-109 contender was selected to become the primary equipment of the future fighter arm. In 1937, the 109B began entering service, but low production meant that by the end of that year, just 3 Gruppen, belonging to JG's 132 and 234, had the 109 in service. Licensed production of the type to Fiesler, Focke-Wulf and Ehrler, and appearance of the new C variant in 1938, saw numbers of the type increasing. These examples of the improved 109D are seen at the Jüterbog Dam base, with an early Ju-90 in 1938. When General Franco raised the flag of revolt against the People's Government in Madrid in July 1936, he appealed to both Germany and Italy for military assistance. Hitler dispatched 20 Junkers 52 transports to Spain to aid Franco's cause. This was followed in short order by other aircraft, including Heinkel HE-51s. The growing German involvement was carried out ostensibly by volunteers, although most were seconded military personnel sent to Spain in great secrecy. By November 1936, German involvement became more open and the Condor Legion was born. In March 1937, Me-109Bs first saw combat, proving superior to the Soviet-supplied I-15 and I-16 fighters. New tactics were forged by the likes of Werner Mulders, and the combat experience gained by pilots such as Galland, Lutzow, Harder and others was put to good use back in Germany. Thus, when Germany invaded Poland on the 1st of September 1939, with the Second World War beginning 2 days later, the Luftwaffe, although officially less than 5 years old, had already been blooded and had also amassed a repertoire of combat experience that would give it great advantage over its enemies in the opening years of the conflict. Of the 1,600 aircraft amassed by the Luftwaffe for the air phase of Case White, just over 200 were Me-109 fighters. By far and away the bulk of these were the latest E model, although examples of the earlier C and 44 of the D model seen here, belonging to 3 JG-233, were also committed to the fighting. As was to be repeated in other campaigns in the years ahead, Luftwaffe tactics from the outset were governed by the need to achieve air superiority over the battlefield. The first air operations over Poland were committed to the destruction of the Polish Air Force on the ground. The Jagdflieger, in consequence, found themselves in the opening phase of the campaign, providing escort to the bombers as they attacked Polish airfields. Although the Polish Air Force was woefully outnumbered, it put up a heroic defence. However, after the first few days, air opposition disappeared and the Me-109s engaged in free hunts, searching out the skies and shooting down any surviving Polish aircraft. Most footage of 109s in action over Poland, and indeed from virtually every theatre in which the type operated up to 1943, when the air battles over Germany began in earnest, were taken from other aircraft, such as the Me-110 or Heinkel 111. The small size of the 109 cockpit prevented the pilot employing a cine camera to take footage, and this explains the small quantity of film shot of the Jagdflieger in action when compared to that of the Stukas and the bomber types. It was also the case that from a propaganda point of view, and this was the primary purpose for which the newsreels were made, images of Stukas and bombers provided far greater impact among the audiences who viewed them. Nevertheless, in the period after the Polish campaign, the merits of the Me-109 were highly touted by the propaganda department, and also by the Luftwaffe, fostering an image of superiority for the type that only came unstuck in the skies over Britain the following year. As the ground forces advanced, propaganda company cameramen attached to army formations filmed the handiwork of the Luftwaffe. On the former airfields of the Polish Air Force, hundreds of wrecks of destroyed and burnt out fighters and bombers lay scattered amid the detritus of bombed hangars, an image that was to be captured over and over again in France, Yugoslavia, Greece and Russia, as the preemptive strike designed to destroy the enemy air force on the ground became the tactic and signature of Luftwaffe operations at the onset of a new campaign. Control of the air was the prerequisite for the success of the Blitzkrieg strategy that was to give the Wehrmacht its great victories in the opening years of the Second World War. In spite of its highly effective showing in combat, 109 losses over Poland were far from negligible. In all, some 67 out of the 200 committed were brought down, with the majority being lost to Polish ground fire. When Joseph Goebbels visited an Me-109 unit during the winter of 1939-40, the dark green camouflage was already giving way to light blue underwing and fuselage